Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. You are at the Texas to Tennessee podcast, and tonight we are very fortunate to have Drew Harakal on the podcast. Welcome in, Drew.
Thank you, man. Thanks for getting my last name right too.
Yeah,
Most people
yeah.
don't.
I've done a bunch of research, so we'll see how
I,
that goes.
I was pretty close too with that. I didn't test it, but I was in my mind. I was right there on it too. So that's
Right on, man. Yeah, most people, it's a Harakal or Harakal,
you just
or they
answered
just
anything
cough.
close.
Yeah, they just cough. Like I've had artists on stage before they forget how to say it. Drew.
It's my buddy Drew.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I imagine going through school that was always fun.
Oh yeah.
It makes me think of the Key and Peele. You know,
Yes, absolutely. The AA
right?
Ron.
Right. Anyway, so for those of us that may not be super familiar with Drew, Drew is a multi instrumentalist, singer songwriter, um, producer.
Mhm.
Drew's very accomplished and talented musician, and maybe you could tell us how you acquired all that talent. Tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Oh, I started playing piano when I was 8. Uh, there was a piano around the house. My dad played guitar, and I didn't really want to play guitar. I couldn't tell you why, but Dad always wanted me to play guitar with him. I was jamming like Pink Floyd, like Dark Side of the Moon, shit like that. And there was an upright in the house, and I wanted to learn how to do it, so they got me lessons, and I stuck with it. Went to college for music back in 2008. Dropped out pretty quick because I was playing too many gigs, and it's very expensive to go to music college when you don't take classes.
Right.
So I went there for about 2 years and dropped out and came back to Texas and uh, pretty much toured relentlessly ever since.
Yeah. So you were at Berkeley, right?
Yes, sir. Up in
Okay.
Boston.
Yep. Pretty prestigious place, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of big name dudes that come out of it. The joke inside there is, if you actually graduate, you lost.
Ah,
if, you know,
interesting.
You
if you
stay
dropped
too.
out, you were doing it right.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, so did you know all along that you wanted to work your way back to Texas, or was that kind of just the next step? Or
Honestly, like leaving Texas was just out of necessity for college. I was thinking about going to North Texas. That was my second option. I auditioned and got in there as well, but I think at that age, 18, just sick of being at home for so long, and it was so close enough to my parents' place. I probably would have ended up staying with my parents and commuting, and I think that would have drove me nuts as a child. So getting out of town was fun for a couple of years, but after the cost of living in Boston, even at that time, was so like highly prohibitive of like a student or like low income that it just wasn't capable. So I moved
right,
back here and you know use my parents have been very giving and supportive. Let me crash at their house for a long time until I figured it out.
nice. Um, I'm sure I can't get this right, but can you tell us or maybe give us a list
Mhm.
of the different bands that you've played with over the years?
Oh man, there's a lot of local Texas country acts that have come and gone. The one most people know me for is Cody Jinks. I was with him for about 7 years, I want to say. I've done studio work with pretty much every big Texas like artist you can think of. Like done a lot of work with Whiskey Myers. Did some stuff on one of Co's records. I've done some studio work with Third Eye Blind. I've done recently. I worked on a track that apparently is for an art installation for James Cameron for the Avatar movies.
Oh wow,
So
how
they
did
got
that
got
come
to put that
about?
little friend of a friend. He was producing some stuff for an artist out of New York, and they got hired to do. From what I'm told, I don't even think it's available to see yet, but some kind of LA art installation that it's like a tree from Avatar, and you walk up to it, and it like turns on, it like senses where you are, and like I guess it's like biofeedback of the lights, but they wanted music to go behind it as well. So somebody
Wow.
composed the music, and I helped them record it and perform it.
That's amazing. I know, obviously, I know you've done work with Tim Lightyear,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and
he's me and him have known each other since high school. Yeah, we grew up together and produced his latest record. It was a lot of fun out of the studio here that I'm in right now. So
yeah, very cool. Have we've had Tim on, haven't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
thought so.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get confused, but yeah, we love Tim. So,
yeah, he's great.
and then I know you've worked with Casper and
Yeah, I did.
man,
I
a
did some
bunch
work
of
on
other
Casper's
folks I
latest.
know.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I've got a wall of vinyl in my front room in my house of just everything I've been on. I'm trying to think outside of like the country realm. There's a metal band out of Nashville called Howling Giant that I've done keys work for since God probably a decade now.
Okay.
A lot of it's like stoner progressive metal if you're into that sort of heavier
Yeah.
thing. They're a lot of fun. I don't know, just other projects, artists around town. I do a lot of studio work either out of my place or remote for other people, and or there's plenty of studios in town to call me.
Awesome.
Like the other thing I could think of recently is like the Lowdown Drifters record that just came out.
Yeah.
If you guys like that, I helped
Absolutely.
write the title track and performed with the keys on that record.
Nice. I was trying to figure out how to get over there. They were at Mags on Friday, I think.
Oh, that's
And
right. I forgot about that.
I'm not well right now, so I can't get over there. But I'm hoping to
Oh, too bad.
get to see you on the new stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
So I'm a big vinyl record guy, and you mentioned that having all the vinyls on your wall. How is that from your point of view when you pick up anything that you recorded or played on, and you open the package and all of that?
Oh,
I'm sure it's like a romantic kind of feeling.
well, it's cool to get to see my name on stuff like that. Especially with vinyl records. They're like the albums physically are such pieces of art.
Right.
Like the album art, especially. I mean, like everyone has album art nowadays, but like who really pays attention to that? Like back in the day when you had the physical thing, or still nowadays, it's such a different appreciation for it, having that big piece of cardboard essentially with all the great art on it. So it's
Right.
it's cool to be able to see that. But I admittedly I had a lot of vinyls for a long time. Never owned a record player because I don't really like listening to what I play. So
Right.
it's more album, more like wall art than anything else.
Trophies.
Yeah. It's a trophy collection.
Yeah, that's cool.
Understood. Is it
Yeah.
also so that you can remember what all you what all you
So sometimes it's a growing collection. There's someone I haven't put up on the wall yet because I just got to get more mounts. But every time I have somebody that I record with somebody that ends up cutting it to vinyl, I ask them for a copy. Sometimes it takes a couple years for them to remember, but
Yeah.
Is there a Drew Harakal playlist of everything that you've played on?
oh, I ought to make one, but there's no way I'd catch it all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like smaller local bands and first time artists at some studios that like I definitely would remember when I ran into them, but like I could not tell you the names of half these bands.
Right. That's wild.
Yeah. When you first successfully got out of college, what was the style of music that you were diving into at that time, or was it already all over the place still?
Well, I mean, it definitely was all over the place. When I went to college, I really wanted to dive into like funk and R&B personally, and like because Berkeley was advertised as a modern music college, I definitely thought I'd try to take advantage of that. Um, there was a ton of it within the student body, but as far as the teachers go in the piano department, not so much because I went for piano. But I definitely did learn a good bit still, like jazz vocabulary and whatnot. But it wasn't really what I was looking for, which is another reason I left. But yeah, moving back home, I just knew I wanted to work. I didn't care what it was. I honestly like never really listened to country music before about 2010. And when I started working in Texas country, it was just a total having to just absorb everything like a sponge as quickly as possible.
How did you get into that circle at the you move back, and when you get into that Texas country scene, like what was the first step?
Man, it probably isn't relevant anymore, but Craigslist was
That was the
the
thing, right?
thing, man.
Yep.
I sat around and trolled like forums and Craigslist and like gig ads, because back then there were still like gig ads in paper every now and then. But there was I pretty much, for some reason, only picked up gigs pretty much exclusively in East Texas for about a year and a half, just through Craigslist ads. And
That's
like this is
great.
before, I didn't have GPS or anything, so I was MapQuest printing out a whole ream of paper. And if I missed one turn and like going out to Marshall or something, I had no clue where I was. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Miss Farm Road 385, whatever.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so it was mainly pickup gigs at that point in time, not yet,
Oh
not
yeah.
not as much in the studio.
No, no. I really had to like meet people. I loved recording, but like I didn't know anybody really as far as like a working musician goes. When I moved back, because most of my friends either were still in college before they were doing that kind of thing, or there just wasn't a lot of musician community in my hometown where I grew up in Rockwall. At the time, there's like a ton of live music there now, but
That's
like
crazy.
back then, we had like one venue that a bunch of high school bands would play, called the Ice House. And then when that thing closed down, I think I was a senior, and there was just no venues out there, no bars. It was a dry county at the time too, so.
So you were kind of a lot of people we talk to, they're pounding the pavement trying to get their music out there, and you were kind of working the pavement trying to just network for the most part, right?
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, it was like, I did a lot of networking really fast, but as a piano player too, it was very tough trying to get a job when normally you'll hire a keys player as like the fifth member of a band, right?
Right.
So, but you still need that drummer, you still need that bass player, you still need the lead guitar player, if you do a four-piece outfit. So a lot of times, most of these bands I'm running into, like, man, we'd love a keys player, but we really need a bass player. So I actually toured as a bass player for many, many years.
Right. Whatever
Interesting.
pays the bills, right?
Hey, man, gig's a gig,
Yeah. Well, speaking of gigs, I think we've talked about this previously, but
Mhm.
can you talk a little bit about the I don't know what we call it, the church community music scene?
Oh yeah, I could speak on it a little bit. I would never really did a ton of work doing that, but about 2014, 2015, bit of 2016, I was living between mid cities like Denton and Arlington, and there were a couple of churches that kept me around as like first call sub as a keys player, and a lot of that was just sometimes getting a call the night before. I'm out, West Texas in Lubbock on a Saturday night. It's like, hey, can you
Right.
get here at 6 a.m. in Denton for church on
Yeah.
Sunday? You know, it's like, here's 4 songs. I'll learn them on the way.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, from
Yeah.
from what I remember, at least about our conversation, just
Mhm.
um, how it's a it's a more competitive kind of environment for all the best gigs, and
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
always like great equipment and everything's like great budgets, and it's a really
Yeah.
interesting kind of hodgepodge of artists from different genres that play.
Oh yeah, I met plenty of very 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 talented musicians that I ended up running into the road or playing in bands with after the fact at church gigs. The production budget that a lot of churches, especially around in the DFW area, have are just like they are very much into investing into like a very quality product. Like a lot of them, were on the precipice of like live streaming the church sermons. So everything was like not only like live show production, lights, smoke, sound, the whole nine just for the live show, but like you also have guys in the back that are running camera crews and like really production managers that are mixing just for streaming. You have a sound guy in the front of the house, you got a monitor guy, you got a streaming guy, but the because the production budgets are so high, they're able to pay pretty well for the musicians as well. So a lot of guys really hold on to those kind of gigs
Right.
because it's a very secure way of playing music for a living.
Yeah, makes sense. Um, how long did you know that you had this itch you wanted to scratch with the production piece?
As far as like recording and stuff goes.
Yeah, in terms of, I know you mentioned you produced Tim's most recent stuff, but
Yeah.
how have you always known that that's kind of a direction that you would potentially want to go, or?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I got involved in like recording in the studio world, I mean, just as a player, it always fascinated me, and it seemed like a very. I think back to like watching documentaries of like Steely Dan, like the making of
Oh yeah,
the Asia record, or things of that note, or like the Tom Petty Dan the Torpedoes documentary, or like you watching these guys just like get in a room and they hang out for months and they're just like trying the most creative off the wall shit that they can and coming up with these iconic records. And it's like that seems like something that would be a lot of fun to do for a living, you know. So as a player, developing myself just so I can keep up in that sense. But then I have my studio now, and that was just born out of necessity because I owned too much gear and I had kept it all in a storage unit for a long time. And because the bedroom wasn't big enough when I was renting or renting a house, just didn't have a proper space for it. So
right.
it's just kind of set it up, and now it's all plugged in all the time. It's like, well, you want to come over and play with it, and I'll hit the button. You know?
That's cool. Well, I think Drew Soul would probably like to introduce you to 2 episodes of Earwax, because 2 of the albums that you mentioned, I think, are 2
Yeah.
albums that we have this other show we do on the weekends,
Mhm.
and it's we take like classic albums and kind of break them down a little bit, and so it's
Yeah.
funny you mentioned both those albums are we've only done like
Oh,
4 or 5
I mean,
shows.
they're
Those were 2 of
iconic.
them.
They're iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've only done I think 4 episodes, and you mentioned 2 out of the 4. So
Yeah.
What are the other two?
Red-Headed Stranger, and
one.
what was the other one?
Jinx
Or is
album.
that it? What was that?
I think it was third.
Oh
Was
yeah,
it third?
Second Helping.
Oh yeah, totally.
Because we did the second helping on the second episode.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's
we're
good.
clever.
Yeah.
You're clever like that.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that.
But have you a little bit off topic? Have you seen the documentary of Sound City?
I have not. Watched that
Okay.
one.
I think you would.
I've
Especially
heard
with
good things, but yeah,
especially you mentioned that Petty album. I think you would like that. So.
totally.
There's also another really good one with about the Wildflowers album.
Mm.
The-
Yeah, I don't think I've
the
seen that one.
Sinners own that one album, so I think
Yeah.
you would probably like that one too.
Oh, yeah. No, I dig any kind of goes behind the scenes back then. That there was that what Beatles documentary that came out on Disney Plus a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Like that was totally cool seeing that record being made because it was so off the cuff. Or just seeing everything happening behind the scenes of just like you could how it translated to the music in a sense.
Yeah, and Paul is definitely the general of that situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Watching them cut "Let It Be" and just like you almost think like John's trying to fuck it up.
That's funny.
Yoko in it.
Drew, I like to ask this of everybody that I know that has recorded at Sonic Ranch. I'm kind of fascinated by the place that I've never been to, but can you tell me a little bit about your experience at Sonic?
Man, it is really when you look at those kind of documentaries, they operate that joint in what I'd like to believe is the mindset of like thinking about those great records back when record budgets were millions of dollars and you could spend months and months in a studio hold away. It is in the middle of nowhere, and all you have to do all day is like they cook for you, they clean for you, they do your laundry. So you just wake up. As soon as you wake up, you walk in the studio and you just record music until it's time to go to bed or time to get dinner. And then you go back and you record some more or you listen back to what you did. And it's just every day. It's a grind nonstop, no breaks really because there's nowhere to go. You're like 45 minutes from El Paso. You're right on the border of Mexico. You're in the middle of a pecan farm, and so it's like there's nothing to do but work, which is like a great mindset to be in when you really want to accomplish a lot of stuff. But it can get a little, Stockholm syndrome is not the thing I'm looking for, but you're isolated.
Yeah, for sure.
So when things aren't going smooth,
it becomes it's a pressure cooker. There's nowhere to go to really get away. Like everyone's got space. I mean, there's tons of space, but there's no one else around except the people you're working for.
Right.
Did you have something
Yeah.
else you were going to
No,
say?
go ahead, man.
Oh. Well, I ended the TikTok thing, by the way. It was messing up.
Goodbye, TikTok.
Yeah, and so Drew has kind of come across me when I was playing music on a live and messing a bunch of songs up, and he actually shared it and was nice about it and everything, Talbot.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
shout
no,
out.
so yeah,
Appreciate that.
yeah. So yeah, thanks for putting up with that. Um, at this point, Talbot, you ask the pie question.
Oh, you want
Because
some high question? All right.
because I think I mean he's got a lot of he's kind of like
Yeah,
Lightyear as far as there's
yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
different take.
All right. So, Drew, this is
Okay.
the weirdest question that I'll ask. All the rest of them are pretty easy. But this one's probably pretty easy for you. So, I'm going to give you a pie, and I want you to
Okay.
divide it up into 4 sections. So, you've got songwriting, recording,
Mhm.
performing, and then the business of music. So, those are the 4
Okay.
sections of pie. One, where do you kind of naturally gravitate, or where's your favorite space to kind of operate in? And then maybe what area do you feel like maybe you're kind of, all right, this is something I'm really working on out of those
I
4?
mean, yeah, my gut is my natural inclination is performance. It's like pretty much the only thing I did or like focused on for the first decade of my career. I mean, like obviously recording here and there, but it was definitely like I pride myself and I find myself constantly getting calls or calls back from artists that I work with because I try to and find myself excelling in that. But I do think that maybe recording is a little bit more of something I might be passionate for.
Right.
Not that I get to do it quite as much, but I do like the creative leg stretch, so to speak.
Yeah.
Really like get to take the time, get to like as long as you have the budget to take the time,
Sure.
But to really expand and think through and is this the best possible way to make this sound the way that it could sound or should sound, um, I'm definitely lacking in the business end. I've been self-employed for how long, and I can make deals with people that I work with all day as far as handshaking on. Oh yeah, you want to show up at this gig, I'll pay you this much. But
Right.
as I'm learning personally, as an artist personally, now that I'm releasing music of my own, there's so much that I do not know about that like is not really ever communicated or translated from like as a side performer or as like a hired gun on like a single off gig. The artist is never like looping you in on that, involving you in that, because it has nothing to do with your job. So it's
Right.
just all these new things that I'm learning about. you know uh and same with recording in some senses, like as a producer now, learning about like points distribution or like taking cuts on records and like mechanical royalties. So I didn't even know what the hell that was until
Oh,
about
okay.
6 months ago. you know
Nice.
um so that's stuff I'm learning about. The songwriting pie is, I've always been a writer. I didn't write for a long time, and I think that I'm writing good things now, but and like I guess some people are starting to agree, but I've never really been very open or transparent about being a writer, um, just because I never really wrote with anybody else, and I never, played my own shows or anything of that sense.
Yeah.
But having a cut on the lowdown record really kind of opened some people's eyes with that. I share it with some friends that are songwriters, and they tell me they get pissed off at me because that I'm writing good songs and no one knows. So I've got some cuts coming out on some other people's stuff in the near future, I believe. I won't say anything because I don't know if that's in
Yeah.
writing yet, but I'm growing as a songwriter, and it seems that I'm finally getting recognition as a songwriter.
Nice. Well,
So,
tell us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, do I need to like give you percentages of the pie?
No, no. I want to get a general like feeling for like I think I knew the answer, but I wanted to get a general feeling of kind of where you see yourself in that area. But since you started kind of talking about some of your own stuff, can you tell
Mhm.
us what that experience has been like, kind of going out and doing some of your own stuff?
Yeah, it's been very eye-opening, very crazy. I used to, when I was in my early 20s, back when I first moved back to Texas, I had a rock band that I fronted on the side when I wasn't gigging for other people, so on free weekends and whatnot, that I liked a lot, but no one else seemed to. So, so I never really took it that seriously. But now that I'm doing like releasing music under my name again and doing all that, it's getting really a lot of reception really fast that I did not expect. I just kind of threw some shit out there just to see like if anybody would like it and I think I hit over like I'd have to look at the numbers on Spotify, but I think I hit like over 10K spins out of
That's
nowhere, like
awesome.
in the month.
Yeah.
And it's like I put an acoustic song out, and I haven't like pushed it on people or like I think it submitted to a couple playlists, but it's been very organic. And Spotify's algorithm's been like showing it to people, which is surprising to me because it's not like I'm like grabbing $10,000 and trying to do a promotional ad run or anything
Right.
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just on Spotify, and I'm sure it's on other streaming services as well. But Cardinals is at almost at 14,000, and that's a
Oh
beautiful
wow! I
song.
didn't even realize it was that high.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I know we have some people in the chat that like that song because we played it for them. But yeah, so maybe now would be a good time. Would you prefer to do Kate or Cardinals, or which would you?
I mean, I've been proved wrong time and time again on this. I always thought Cardinals was kind of a 5 out of 10 song personally, but everyone seems to love it. Kate was a personal favorite of mine, and it's not doing as well. So, you know,
Yeah,
I'm allowed to be
we,
wrong, I guess.
yeah, your choice, whichever one you want to play. But Soul will fire it up for us here in a second.
I'll let Soul pick.
Okay, pressure's on you.
What? Well, it's on the iPad at the moment. What?
We
I
get one
was
more
ready. It
stream
was
out of
not.
there.
Um, when you were talking about that, though, as far as it kind of getting some traction,
Mhm.
like I don't know. You being in the background is not necessarily the best way to put that, but you were working for other people for so long. But do you think you got that reception because of the work you did and the relationships you made? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that it's not a hindrance by any means. I when like for example, like me being identified most publicly as like Cody's keys player for how many years, no one looked at me on stage and said, "Oh, that dude's a songwriter." You know what I mean? No one's like Googling my name after the show because like my name's up in lights to look up, my discography. So,
No,
but
but you
like
did
it
look like you were
definitely.
having fun at all those shows.
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
I've seen
I've
one. You did you put on your show in
I
your
I love
space.
what I do.
Right.
That's so like I've talked to a lot of people about that. That is so subconscious. I don't realize I'm doing it. And I see videos back. I'm like, why the hell am I doing that? You know.
There you go.
So it's
Some people
what
feel the
was it?
music. I'm down with it.
Well,
Yeah.
well, that
Yeah,
might be why
Jamie
people
Lynn
gravitate
Wilson.
towards
Jamie
it
Lynn Wilson
because you're
told me
being you.
told me the other day that I looked like the Muppet Animal when I play.
Well,
She said that on stage in front of a bunch of people. It was a lot of fun.
I'm not
Jamie
sure if we.
Jamie
Yeah.
doesn't mind picking on people either. So
No.
Oh
No.
no, I
no,
love her.
no.
Yeah. Who was it? Was it Jason that said that's his go-to when he needs to know the real truth?
Yeah, yeah. Jason
Oh yeah,
Lee.
she'll cut it to you
Sh-
straight, man.
Yeah.
She's a no bullshit kind of lady.
Well, I guess more of my question really was
Mhm.
I know you weren't necessarily just trying to impress people, and well, maybe you were a little bit, but you weren't trying to s- make a good name for yourself as a singer songwriter back then.
Oh
But
no, yeah,
you were just doing a good job and creating a name for yourself that maybe you weren't realizing. I guess that was a better.
yeah. I've been like I was saying earlier. I've been so focused on me as a side musician and performer in that sense, like for other artists and making like so focused on helping other artists sound the best they can through my ability that it was never a plan for me to. I mean, I didn't plan on really writing a lot of these songs, let alone releasing or recording any of them. So like my name within the community definitely exists because I do a lot of work and I know a lot of people, but within like I would say like the fandom community, I don't really feel like I exist. So I do now, but not in a sense of like every like he's the guy that everyone knows, but none of the fans know.
Understood, but that's a lot of people have to come at that from another direction too, especially these days with social
True, yeah.
media. A lot of times fans will know, you can have 1 million followers on TikTok and don't know a soul in
Oh
the
yeah,
music
right.
world. So,
That's the truth, man. That's the truth.
um,
I've seen
well,
plenty of folks with a ton of followers that haven't been able to get many people to a room. So it
Yeah.
is what it is.
yeah. Well, one thing I'm gonna whenever we play this, can you mute this time, Talbot, and
Yeah,
me? I will
absolutely.
too.
Yeah,
It
sure.
was a little on the last
A
one. It
little
was a little
fuzzy.
bit rough. Yeah.
All right.
So,
Yep. I'll
all right,
mute
here we
now.
go. And you said, well, I'm gonna go with Cardinals because that's what was being said in the chat. So. So I just realized something. I'll start this over. I'll have to edit it like a real pro because when I mute my mic, it mutes it mutes the iPad feed too. So yeah, I muted you too, Talbo, so you can't talk smack now. All right, here we. So as I was saying, because the chat said so, here's Cardinals.
Cardinals came out today. I just thought that you would like to know. The tattoo on your shoulder told me so. I admit, I guess I was wrong. Thought that they'd return in the fall. Just like how I thought you'd fall in love with me. Aggressive little bright red bird, singing songs I'd never heard, like I don't love you and I never will. But for some reason I think of you still. Like when the Cardinals came out today. Cardinals came out today. Made a nest in a thicket of cane, right next to the room where I'd sit and sing to you. Aggressive little bright red bird, singing songs I'd never heard, like I don't love you and I never will. But for some reason I think of you still. When voice of little bright red bird, singing songs I never heard, like I don't love you and I never will. But for some reason I think of you still. The saddest sounds I'd ever heard, one's a woman, one's a bird, and I'm not sure of which that I prefer. But I haven't heard from you since last May, when the Cardinals came out today. Oh, the Cardinals came out today.
Yeah, the
Dig
chat
it.
was saying I should play more than one song since I messed it up the first time. But also,
We can throw one on the end.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Also, he's got a Christmas tune out there too. By the way, I see that on.
Oh yeah, I wrote that. Speaking of Tim, he had he produces a lot of different artists in the DFW area and beyond, and he had we were supposed to get together and do this collaboration Christmas EP of just like a bunch of artists we were all working with, all like submit one song cover original. And that song, long story short, I ended up writing it like a day before the deadline. And I had to record that all myself last second. It just I
Felt like homework.
With the sake of sounding crass, I was literally sitting on the toilet when I wrote the song. It just came to me out of nowhere, and I had to do it.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, original Christmas tune. I don't know what it was, but it just came out of me.
Oh, you do your best thinking there. So,
Yeah.
what about the song Cardinals? I'm sure that wasn't written in the toilet, but where did that come from, and the story behind that?
I mean, it's the inspiration behind it. It's a little less romantic than I think the song comes off. I was hanging out with I had some friends visiting, and one of those friends was Alex Williams, if you know the songwriter Alex.
Yep.
And I remember I was talking to him about, because he was from Indiana and he had a cardinal tattoo on his arm. And I was talking to him about how when I first moved into this house that I live in now, there was just a lot of cardinals around, like every day. Like, and I was always look out over my sink at the window and to the back part of my property, and there was just always cardinals flying around, and it kept kind of sticking with me. And I saw the cardinal tattoo on his arm, and I was like, oh, that seems like a cool line. And I ended up writing that song about moving into this house and like talking about the thicket of cane. I used to have a cane thicket right next to the studio, and when I moved into this house, I had a significant other, and then pretty soon after we moved here, I didn't. So it's kind of about that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool.
You got one?
I do. I want the people to know more about Men Still, and I also want the people to know a little bit more about the Chixie Dicks.
Yeah.
So tell us about those two projects.
Which should I start with?
Your choice, man.
All right. Men Still is me and my buddy Eric Willis had a kind of a joke bet of the idea of starting a tribute band, and over COVID we'd gotten together a couple times and had a rehearsal for like an Eagles tribute that we were thinking about doing at one point, and it just kind of fizzled. We wanted like a third guy, do like an acoustic trio kind of Eagles thing, and we never really put a lot of effort into it, and it kind of fizzled out. So one day he texts me and he goes, let's start a Vince Gill tribute, because we cover a lot of Vince Gill in his set, like especially if we were going to do acoustic duos. And I've always loved Vince. Like, he was one of the first country guitar solos I ever learned was Liza Jane. And so, he's, like a surefire, like he sounds so much like Vince when he sings when he wants to, and so he said, well, we're going to start a Vince Gill tribute band. And I called his bluff. I said, all right, you show up with the guys on this day at my studio. I'm in, we'll rehearse it. And I forgot that I agreed, and then everyone showed up on that day, and I was in my pajamas.
Welcome in.
Yeah, so everyone showed up and they knew
And
the
that's how the
material.
Chixie Dick started. It was in his pajamas.
Yeah, yeah. So Mint Still ended up being a play on words of we call it the kosher tribute to Vince Gill, and everything is pickle themed. Eric has a
beautiful.
green guitar, and we're getting some green jackets made with pickles on them, and it's a lot of fun. We all really enjoyed it. It's really like an all-star local group. We have Bill Corbin on bass, who's used to be an American Aquarium for years and years and years. Hunter Parati, who's known for like playing with like Bart Crow, Mike Ryan. He's out with like Ryder Grimes right now. He's with Paul Coffin for a while. Our drummer Tugboat. It's just works with like Amanda Shires, and he's been back and forth between Lubbock and Tennessee. Who else am I forgetting? Oh, Mark. He also plays guitar with Eric.
Yep.
Just great local super group essentially that we all love.
It
Vince
is.
Gill. So
Yeah,
it's just
I can't say enough good things about. I mean, everybody's wonderful, but Eric has the voice of a little baby angel. I mean,
he does.
his voice is. We'll get Eric on the show at some point, but
You should, and
man,
when you
he's
do,
wonderful.
you need to heckle him. You need to heckle him to finish his fucking record because we have been working on that thing for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, we'll make note
partly
of
at my
that.
place, partly at other places.
Right.
And it's almost done. He just needs to finish it.
Yeah, he's wonderful. Everybody, it's for those of you that are anywhere near the DFW Metroplex, if you see a Men Still show, just drop everything and go. It'll be worth your while.
I believe we have a show on December 14th. I don't remember where. Might be Magnolia.
Nice.
But I think we have a couple coming up that we're going to announce soon. So
Cool.
yeah.
Excited.
And then as far as the other band, Chixie Dicks, started out as a buddy of mine, Brandon Kent. He's a local songwriter and does a lot of just like cover work in the stockyards. He's amazing, like 90s country style kind of guy. Brilliant fucking vocalist, and he had a residency Wednesdays at the White Elephant right after COVID kind of came back, and we started having shows again, and he ended up having me on as a guest one night, and then I never stopped showing back up every Wednesday. And so we named the band the Chixie Dicks, and we just do 90s country covers, some Texas country covers, some we'll throw in like a random pop song every once in a while that we keep in the back pocket, but just 3-piece fiddle, keys, and guitar, and we all sing 3-part harmonies a lot, so it's a lot of fun.
It's great.
A lot of tourists come through. They hung our hat on the wall recently.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then Jerry too.
Jerry
plays
the
fiddle
player in there
for Mike Ryan.
For Mike Ryan and some other, he's done some work with some other people too. He Jinx has got a new Lefty Frizzell tribute record coming out soon that Jerry did all the fiddle work on back in the day.
Nice.
We cut that at my place back in 2020.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Go ahead.
I wanted to make sure we talk about this. I mean, we can bounce back if you want. I just wanted to talk about your original music again because I meant to ask earlier. What was some of the first impressions or feedback you were getting from some of your closest friends or musical friends? Did they know that you were even attempting any of this stuff, or was it just kind of out of the blue? Hey guys, check this out.
It was pretty under wraps. I'd started writing again just for myself, really. A lot of I probably stacked up over about a year and a half, 2 years of writing about 40 songs that I thought were worth something. And I was probably halfway through that 40 when Eric Willis is one of the first people I ever played Cardinals, actually, and he told me that I was a shithead because I could write a song better than him. I don't agree, but he really liked it and kind of pushed me to start doing it.
I imagine that like I said earlier, with you've always been kind of the professional accompanist, whatever, you know what word I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir.
I just
Yes, sir.
can't say it. But then you get that feedback like that from your peers. I'm sure that's a pretty cool feeling, especially
Yeah,
when
it
they're pretty personal sounding songs.
yeah. Just especially like I didn't really show it to many people, but the few that I did, I consider I, as well as working with it, that I am fans of them, like Eric or talking about Jamie Lynn. The first time I actually ever performed any of these songs live was that first year of Born and Raised. It was the last night. She hosted the VIP tent. They do like a songwriter swap kind of thing, and just big crowd, and most of the artists had already gone, but the crowd was sticking around, and I'm just standing around side stage drinking tequila, hanging out with the people, and she pointed at me. She goes, "You write songs, right?" And I was like, because I told her that I did, but she hadn't heard any.
Oh.
And so she had me go up and song swap with Stoney LaRue.
Oh.
And yeah, right. And I played Kate for the first time. I just finished writing it probably a couple months prior, and that kind of jump started everything.
When you actually released some of that stuff, did you get some kind of messages out of the blue or whatever from folks you've been around? They're going like basically, what the hell, Drew?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I got some phone calls, shit like that. I like I said, I kept that under wraps, but a lot of it was that I didn't want to, there's a very delicate balance of even if they are your friends, like you were still at times employed by them, so like
Understood.
I didn't want to come off to especially people that I was more professionally accommodated with instead of personally, showing them like, oh, hey, I write songs too. You ever want to, you want to give me a gig? It's like,
check out this riff.
I didn't want, yeah. You don't want to interrupt the professional relationship with, what for me in my head was like my side project.
Understood.
Yeah,
Completely.
I think it would have been
the way you make.
I'm sure they get that.
Sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm sure they get that every day from fans. Like I can't tell you how many times I've gotten messages for can you pass this along to blah 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 that you work for? I wrote a song. I think they'd really like it. It's like,
That's not how that works.
Yeah. Well,
so I didn't want to be that guy.
Right.
Yeah, but like I said before, you probably earned a lot of respect. One, for not being that guy, but two, for just doing your job as well as you did, and do and all that. And then all of a sudden, you release these songs. I'm sure a lot of them were shocked. So
yeah, definitely. It's been a lot of positive feedback. A lot of why didn't you tell me? But yeah.
Yeah, but that's got to be a good feeling though, to get the why didn't you tell me instead of why the hell are you telling me?
Yes, sir.
Like
Yeah.
I think it would have been super funny if you would have sat down with Stoney and gone, hey, here's a new one that I wrote. It's called Oklahoma Breakdown. And just played it.
He probably would have thought that was funny anyway.
That would have been rough.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So this is a question I've always wanted to ask you, but I don't know why I haven't asked you. But I'm curious what you see when you play. Do you see shapes, colors, or what's going on back there?
Depends on the tequila.
Right? No, that's a good question. There's without getting like too heavy into like a long explanation. There's the idea of like flow state or meditation. I try to invoke that when I play, because there's a saying that like among I can't remember who originally said it, but among like jazz musicians, I know it comes a lot of if you're thinking about what you're playing, don't play it.
Okay.
Of the idea of like you're thinking too hard, just play
like a true
music.
flow. Yeah.
So it's I don't know if I do see anything. Because
okay.
I just kind of turn my brain off in a sense. Like I'm thinking about the music, but I'm not thinking about like, oh, I need to throw this lick in right here. Or, oh, I need to like show off and do this really cool riff that I just learned right here. Or it's more of just like trying to put a direct connection from my brain into my hands, into the instrument. and just experience it with the people around me. So like a lot of times I've seen photos of me where I will, like, for example, I'll just be sitting there playing, and then my head will just be like over here, my eyes will be rolled in the back of my head, because I'm not really paying attention to what I'm doing.
Yep. No, that's a cool answer. I do have a cool, I think it's a cool story. So I took my son to see, it was a show down at Nutty Brown, with
Yeah.
Travis Tritt and Cody and
Oh yeah, that was Aaron Vinecourt was on that show.
yeah, Aaron was there,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so one of my sons is kind of into country music, so it's fun for me to, when I can, bring him along. But this was probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, maybe. I don't know. I think they closed that venue now, or moved it, or
The
something.
old one's closed. They moved it, and it's the same people, but I think they named it something else. I don't remember
Different.
what
Anyway,
it ended up being named, but essentially it's like the new Nutty Brown. Yeah.
yeah. So I took him, and it was the show where the keys broke, and you were bleeding on stage.
Yes, sir. That was the show.
So my son like nudges me and goes, hey, look at the guy playing the piano. And I'm like, well, it's not a piano, but close enough. Anyway, so he goes, he's a badass. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. He noticed it. But
Yeah.
I know you recovered. But anyway, that was a fun
Yeah.
story. I don't know exactly what happened, but something broke.
I mean, yeah. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm sure you might be able to see it. I still have a scar right here on my hand.
Yeah.
I was playing, and I was wearing a ring, and the ring had hit the key at just the wrong spot, and it actually cracked the key in half. And so there was a sharp piece of plastic sprung up, like from the spring of the key, and I went to swipe my hand across the keys, like
Slice.
doing some fancy
Yeah.
fucking move, right? And sliced my hand straight open. And I was bleeding everywhere. And I ended up like I didn't know what to do, and so I had one of the techs throw me a roll of gaff tape, and I just taped my hand shut. Kept playing the rest of the show.
Yeah.
By the time there was
Pretty
like
rock
red
and
lights
roll.
and everything, so we couldn't really see what was going on. At the end of the night, they turned the work lights on, and there was blood everywhere.
Everywhere, right? Yeah. Well, he noticed it right off the bat. I think I was paying attention, but anyway, that was pretty rock and roll. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh,
Yeah,
ripped your hand, but-
we ended up we ended up selling that broken key to a fan at auction, and gave all that money to charity. I think we got raised like $700 or something like that.
Ah, that's cool. Yeah, very cool.
All right. You ready to get with some of the rapid fire?
Oh yeah,
questions?
I am,
Or-
and one of them's going to be.
Oh, all right.
One of them's going to be a little controversial. So
I have a new one
oh, you got a new one?
that I just thought about while we've been talking to him. So
All right, cool. All right, Drew. These are rapid fire. Desert Island album.
Ooh, like only one?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I know. That's crazy, right?
Michael McDonald's first solo record. That's
Okay.
what it takes.
okay,
All right, very cool.
man.
Dinner with one historical figure, and it could be alive or dead.
Oh man, who's coming to mind? It's not the one I'm thinking of in hand, but one that I think I would enjoy would be, I think, Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I've got questions.
But yeah,
that
I'd
would-
love
that'd be
to
interesting.
pick his brain about shit. Dealing like how he was dealing with fame, where the songs are coming from. Like
Sure.
very like again talking about the documentaries real quick. Like reading some stuff or watching some stuff. Steve Albini talking about recording some of those things where he was playing with rain sticks and vocal booths and shit because he was so neurotic. There's
Right.
very interesting things that came from those records.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. Ideal green room.
Can you expand on that? Like, is there an ideal green
Well,
room?
I know you've
What
seen-
is in an ideal green room, or
Well, what would be in your ideal green room? I know you've seen both ends of probably really nice ones, and then probably some that were you know,
Oh
maybe
yeah, I've
left
I've
something
seen
to
the
be.
whole gambit.
Yeah. So what if you were, let's say you had a venue and you know, obviously wanted to take care of the artist. What would you put in that green room?
You had a
Man,
HGTV
so
TV
some of
episode.
the coolest accommodations I've ever seen in green rooms was probably there was I wish I could remember where it was. I believe it's somewhere in Wisconsin. Maybe the Paps Theater had just a whole shelf of records and a record player that was like
Ah,
in
cool.
like a corner that was like a listening corner, so you could just, and they had all sorts of like classic really cool stuff, like Donny Hathaway and
Oh
like
wow.
Aretha Franklin records,
Yeah.
but they also had in the other corner like stand up arcade machines. You know, and like so it's like they
Something
had,
for
and
everybody.
yeah, and they had like a private barista in the other corner. It's so decked out, but you know, I always thought the record corner was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very cool. First concert that you went to, and then first concert that you paid for.
Whew. First concert I went to, I think would have to be, it was my little sister's birthday when I was a child, and I think it was Avril Lavigne and Simple Plan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
It was not my choice, but it was the first
Yeah.
one I
Well,
think I
it was
the-
paid,
that's the,
so
yeah, that's the point.
we all
of
like
asking the
concerts.
question. Yeah.
It is the point of the question. And then first one that
Well,
you went to and that you paid for.
that I paid for.
Simple Plan and Avril Lavigne.
Right, yeah. You know, I
Two.
don't think it's. I really don't know, because I was playing so much that I was going to so many live shows that I never, like, since I ever moved back, and I didn't really go to concerts in high school because there was not a lot going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like local shows and stuff, but nothing like a concert. You know, I think
Right.
it might be the first one that comes to mind was again Michael McDonald at Verizon Theater.
Oh, very cool. Well, you know, it might be one of those situations where the question should be, what was the first concert or venue that you were paid for instead of that you paid for? But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, I think one of my first shows ever coming back, moving back to Texas, I was opening for Whiskey Myers in Tyler back in the day.
oh,
Like way back. Like I remember it was the first time I'd ever seen a guitar boat where they have that road case where
yeah.
they put all the guitars
Oh
in.
yeah.
I remember I
Yeah.
saw it. I was like, I want one of those. That's so cool. I want to get so famous that I could have one of those.
All those
You know?
and a guitar tech.
Yeah, man. You know.
All right, this one's probably a little harder for you because I know you've played some amazing venues, but bucket list venue that you haven't played.
Man, I think the Greek Theater would be cool. Never done that. Uh, you know, O2.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that'd be neat. But yeah, I've done a lot of big ones. A lot of the, you know, you check it off the bucket list types. You know.
Right, right. That's cool. All right, two more, and then I'll hand you off to Soul. So, Mount Rushmore of producers.
Oh shit. Uh, uh, I was just talking about Steve Albini. I think he's up there. Uh, it's a little controversial. A lot of people don't like Rick Rubin, but I think the results of what he's done have been really cool. I just don't know about it. A lot of people don't agree with his methods.
Yeah.
Because he just says he doesn't know anything about music and doesn't want to learn music. It's like, you know. But
Yeah, but that Wildflowers album is one of my favorites.
right,
ever,
right, yeah.
ever.
No, it's like,
Well,
Which is
it's
Tom
the proof's in
Petty
the
too,
pudding.
so
Like
which,
he's
whatever.
he's doing good shit regardless, you know.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter the genre
but-
either.
Yeah, I think definitely like one of my top producers of all time is Blake Mills. I think he deserves to be up there. He's not as like publicly accoladed, but he's done records for anywhere from like John Legend, Randy Newman, Dawes,
I love
just
Dawes.
some incredible stuff.
Cool.
And like has his own like solo library too. But or he produced Marcus Mumford from Mumford and Sons' latest solo record, and that thing is one of my favorite records last year.
Okay, cool. And then this is the controversial one because I know that you're in 1.5 tribute bands. I don't know if that's a full 2.
Yeah,
But tribute.
it's one and then the cover group, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, the question is, and we ask this of everybody: tribute bands. So I'm not picking on you. Tribute bands, yay or nay?
I personally don't think I would pay for a ticket to go see a tribute band, but I love playing in one. It's so much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like just like really like, you know, the whole talking about like Beatles tribute bands dressing up the part. Oh, I'm Paul, I'm Ringo. You know,
It's a little
but,
much. Yeah.
play the music, have fun, you know. Like
Right.
I definitely I like being on that side of the tribute band. And if somebody wants to pay a ticket and come watch that, please. Like I love playing it, so please come.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. All right. So
Well, have you heard about or how would you react if Vince Gill actually found out about the Mince Deal band?
I've heard he does know.
Okay.
I through some friends I know Sunny Sweeney told us that she told him about it the other day, and I don't think she ever got a text back after he heard. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't know. He seems to have a pretty good
I'm
personality.
sure he'd be cool.
Yeah, he seems to be pretty cool to start
Yeah,
with.
I would love for him to show up. We'd done a show, I guess it was a couple days prior. We didn't realize he was playing at Billy Bob's like 2 days later. And like, so some people thought they had misread the ad and thought it was Vince Gill playing at a show. It was us.
It's a really intimate show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Well,
Alright, so-
and then just to tack on to that, you know, I don't think he would be sore, but you know, he has taken a little bit of extra stress on his being part of the Eagles. You know, like so maybe he's got a different
Absolutely.
perspective on.
How do you replace?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, how do you replace Glenn Fry?
People-
I mean, like,
people
he
have
had
said some
he had
mean
to just
stuff.
like be him.
Right,
I mean, no one's
Vince
gonna be
Gill.
Glenn Fry, but like, no one's gonna be Vince Gill either. You
right,
know?
right, exactly. So
if you, I guess my little extra question, if you had to pick one go-to Vince Gill song, what's your favorite? What's the first one that comes to
go-to?
mind?
I even before the tribute band, I used to cover a tune of his when I would do like somebody call me up to do some solo stuff, like at a song swap or whatever. If I was in the room, when I call your name,
it's a good one.
it's
Yeah,
a
well, I mean,
it's
they're
a
all
very
good,
it's a
but
very that one's just it's a banger. It really is.
So,
Yeah.
which one what would be yours?
Probably either that one or is it Pocket Full of Gold? Is that the name of it?
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
think
tune. That's a good
I think
tune.
it's about the same slow, sad. That's gonna be my pick most of the time. So
Oh yeah.
what about you?
This
I
is gonna
know.
be tough. Yeah, this is like Desert Island for me.
Yeah, the Desert Island one
it's-
album thing is that's a
It's
ridiculous
not really
question.
a fair question. Yeah.
No.
I would say whenever you come around, maybe.
What a good one.
Yeah, or
Possibly the prettiest guitar solo that he's got.
yeah. Oh man, you know what? What's the one you guys lead off with that I like?
Oh, Liza Jane. Did we start the show with?
Oh, maybe it's Liza Jane. One more last chance. I like to. I mean, it's
Oh,
just kind of
dude,
fun
absolutely.
and boppy or
Yeah.
whatever, but
I was
they're
gonna
two
say, like,
different spectrums.
Yeah, another top one of mine is like what the cowgirls do. You know, like that line, the chug a lug line always just like sticks in my brain like an earworm.
Yeah, some great writing there.
The way my brain works, I'm sure you have those moments too. But whenever you come around, like just kind of hearing that guitar work in my head, like it made me want. Like now I want to hear John Mayer cover that song.
Oh
that
yeah,
seems,
he'd be a
cool.
shoo-in
that seems
for
like that would be
Definitely.
like a match made in heaven right there.
For sure.
I can see that. I didn't Stapleton do a cover of that recently?
I think
Like
so.
for
I
like a
think
tribute
so.
events, like
With
very much the same thing, you know, like
someone
just
sang
making the guitar
harmony
cry.
with him besides his wife. I was thinking maybe it was Patty Loveless.
Maybe. I
I
remember
could be
seeing a
wrong.
video
I
a
don't
little
want to
while
give the
back,
wrong
but it
information.
was an excellent version of it.
You're
Yeah.
safe. Stapo isn't watching, so you're good.
How do you know?
Well, shout out,
We go way
Mr.
back.
Stapleton. Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Shout out
Um,
Stapo.
well, there's the clip for the episode there.
There.
All right. Now for the main question of the show. I have to say that started out as a joke on episode number 1, and then we had to ask it from then on. So
All right.
Drew, what is your favorite Little Debbie snack? I said cake before, and it was confusing. So we'll say
Ooh.
snack.
Favorite Little Debbie. I almost said the cupcakes with the swirly on top of the Hostess. Favorite Little Debbie. I think it has to be a tie between Nutty Bars and Swiss Rolls.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I think
Nice.
I haven't had either of those in a while, but like I was thinking about like what would I go to the store and buy
Now I
right
kinda
now
want
if I saw
one.
it on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, like a Nutty Bar sounds a little too rich, but like Swiss Roll always leaves that weird like
You're
like
gonna
coating
be
in your
like-
mouth, you know?
Yeah.
I'm borderline diabetic after being on the episode of the Texas Tennessee podcast. Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so Swiss rolls are making a comeback these days, apparently,
They
on
are.
the show.
I think that
Oh,
was
they're
Jason.
classic, man. I used to have them in my school lunch all the time when I was a kid.
It's funny because not every part of Texas is down with Little Debbie's.
Really?
It's
I
been
didn't know that was a thing.
little hit and miss. Yeah, it seems to build steam the further east we go and south we go. Hostess kind of has a little bit of a foothold in Texas. So
I was gonna say, like, I remember growing up, Hostess was like always in the gas stations, but Little Debbie was always in the grocery store, you know.
Yep.
And you always get the things at the grocery store, but you want, hey mom, can I get this thing at the gas station? You're like, no. So
Right.
it's like, oh, it's foreign, it's special,
Right.
you know.
Trust me, we didn't put that much thought in this question when we asked it on the first one. We just knew that the first guy was in East Texas and a redneck too, so we just knew we were safe to ask it.
Yeah, for sure.
We were just
Fair.
trying to think of stuff that wasn't serious. So,
Yeah.
well, all right, Drew, man. I appreciate the time as always. Talbot's been singing your praises for a while now, and it's good to finally.
I love him every time I get to
meet
see
you.
him in person.
Well,
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Kudos for you for putting up with him in person. So. Here.
Anytime.
All right, man. Make sure you follow Drew on all of his socials. Interact with anything that he posts. Even if you don't like it, pretend like you do. Comment. Hit the heart button. Share it. And when it comes to his music, wherever you wherever you stream your music, make sure you follow Drew's page. And when they ask you to pre-save something when they're going to release it, please do that. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps them with all of the numbers and everything, trying to get the music heard and into the unfortunate algorithm that everybody has to deal with. So,
Yeah, we all deal with
all
it.
right. I think I made it through that pretty good. So,
Yeah, that was good.
all right, man, I'm a professional.